Hi, my friends. How are you doing? Welcome to another edition right here on Serenity TV. Before I carry on, please go and subscribe to our YouTube channel. Women today are assuming positions. Women today are breaking the boundaries and they're making for the goal. They're not waiting to listen to what society has to say. They're going for the kill and they're achieving every goal that they have set for themselves. However, there are still some obstacles, some little obstacles that we need to address, and we need to address it head on. That way, we get to create a path for the younger generation of women to understand that they can be leaders, mothers, sisters, and anything they want to be without having to go through these obstacles. Today, I'm being joined in the studio by a very amazing, beautiful, I need to say that, beautiful woman. Her name is Surveyor Chika. She's here to discuss with us on the emotional power of women in leadership, their strength, the criticism, and of course, some of the experiences that she's going to be sharing with us will give us headlights as to why we as women need to take our emotional prowess. Importantly, we need to learn how to balance our emotions and make sure that we are able to, delegate our emotions in the areas that is necessary. Hello, Surveyor Chika.
Hi.
It's such an honor to have you here. If I do say so, you look amazing.
Thank
really,
you.
really good.
Thank
the
you.
hair is herring. And I love your outfits.
Thank
Welcome
you.
once again. How have you been?
I've been great.
Amazing. I love it for you. Well, the conversation we're going to have today is something that you're very particular about. I mean, we're having a conversation backstage before the camera came on. And I can tell you for a fact that we're about to unpack lots of information and experiences from Surveyor Chika. Women are making the strides. They're coming out. They're putting themselves out there. They're breaking the ceiling, literally, the glass ceiling, and they're literally making for the kill, which is something really fantastic because we dealt with crops of women. Heck, our mothers were some of those women who would rather go behind, take a chill pill while the men go forward because they have just one assignment, which is to give birth to children, raise a home, cook the food, and rear the children, basically. However, we have a new crop of women who are coming out to say we can be so much more.
Oh, yes.
And these women are attaining leadership and they're attaining lots of other things.
Oh, yes.
However, the job of a woman will still be to care and cater for the family that she hopes to have. Obviously, if you're going to be a mother, you'd have to be there for your kids. You're still going to attain a leadership position, maybe at your office. And you have other things that are right in front of you and you've got to take responsibility for all of these things. How and at what point do women balance these emotions so that it doesn't look quite overwhelming?
Okay. Basically, let's start with the fact that let's set that notion straight that the job of a woman is not entirely home activities. A woman doesn't need to post her life for family. I want to set that straight.
Okay.
Women now, I'm very happy that women now are beginning to come up with and understand the full potentials that God has deposited inside of them. And that carries them to career, leadership, and so on. If you now want to be all this as a woman, pursue career, rear your children, raise a family, bond, and all that, and then lead in certain organizations that you belong and be there in the society to make your impact and inputs and innovative ideas, you have to balance it emotionally. You have to build strength as a woman. You have to have what we call shock absorber. Be ready to absorb shocks because there will be criticisms from here and there. There is going to be certain offenses that will come. There will be going to be some set down. There will be times you'll be under the weather. You need to build shock absorbers that will be able to absorb them and still stand the test of time. It's just like being stretched. Your elasticity is just the elastic. You know what an elastic rope is? You're stretching it and it is keeps stretching and it keeps stretching. And when it's being released, it still returns back to its original shape and position without altering, without changing, without any iota of, change in it. So that's the thing. Now, at this point, the woman has to set out strategies on how to carry on this task at the same time, because women are built to do that, because we are multi taskers. Yes. We do so many things at the same time, but you can't do them at the same time without burning out, without breaking, without cracking. That even when you are still called on, you need to be here, you still be there, and without shaking. So you build strategies, try to, set up certain positions and offices around you that can handle certain tasks that are not entirely necessary, tasks that you may not, it doesn't really need your input. Not that you are not supervising, you can supervise, but it does not mean that if it is not you that did this, it's that thing will not work. No. Engage the activities and expertise of people, and also seek help when necessary. Don't relegate everything that I have to do it myself. It was one issue I had while being a leader in a committee that I was given to. I felt because I'm used to doing things, everything, and my committee members were calling my attention to that this is wrong, that I should, even though, yes, they've seen that I'm a perfectionist, I like certain things done excellent way, certain way, just like that. And I should, why not delegate and see? And truly, I had to start thinking, because it was wearing me down. It was beginning to wear me down. Sometimes I'll get home, I'll be very tired to do one or two at the house, and where I'll be required in the office and all that. So I started to see reasons, because it was the same thing that the father-in-law of Moses was telling Moses in the Bible. Hey, if we leave you, you will die here before your time. So I had to, began to delegate activities. I even forgot I had committee members. I was just carrying the load on myself. So I had to now set certain goals, certain boundaries, certain offices up, and you handle this. You are the secretary of this committee, or you're in charge of paperwork. So what I know is that my eyes were on all of them, but not that I was literally doing all. So I had balance to this, so it enabled me have some time for myself, because at some point I was not having time. One thing a woman must know is that you must choose self in all these things, because if not, you will get down.
I like that you mentioned all of these things. I mean, I really, really like that you mentioned balance, because one thing we as women usually want to do is to do it all, so that we'll be regarded as a strong woman. Oh, this woman is very, very strong. She's doing this, she's doing that, she's doing this. I heard a story of a woman who will literally go to work. She's a banker. She would go to work very early in the morning. She will come back. She has a small popcorn shop. I think she's a single mother, and she has a popcorn shop at night. She will stay up until 11 or 12. Then she will go to bed, wake up as early as 5 a.m., get the children ready. And in my head, I understood where they were going with the story. Probably to say, women, you can be strong, be a strong woman, because that's what you're supposed to be. However, I like that you mentioned you need to think about self, because we end up burning out without delegating some certain tasks to people around us. There are like some certain things that you can do. Maybe, for instance, the one where she needs to take the kids to school, she could get somebody to drive the children to school and all of that. But that is something that lots of women do not pay attention to. But we're going to, circle right back to that. Let's discuss criticism.
Okay.
I mean, we've talked about leadership, and even though I think that we still have some men who are still trying to grapple with the fact that women are no longer just chillers. They're not going to sit at home and be wives anymore, or even just mothers anymore. They are going to literally stay in a certain position and do fantastically well in those positions. However, we still have some men who find it really hard to trust these women with the leadership power that they've been, conferred on. So let's talk about criticism. You are currently a leader in a position that is expected to be for a man, quote and unquote.
Yeah.
Right? Now, I want to find out from you if there are some certain criticism that you've gotten. How did those criticism mold you? Did it try to break you? How did you walk your way around those criticism? Basically, your experience.
Okay, thank you. When that committee was set up, and I was made the chairman. One of the first thing that I had was I was told because I'm a lady, I can't chair that position. And then because why? One of the work reference of that committee was saddled with reviewing of loans and recommending them for approval. And because of that loan issue, it has to do with money, finances. So some ill stories came up. And then at the same time, they also were seeing that based upon I'm a lady, I will not be able to man up. Let me use what they call man up. But rather, I will not be able to stand up with my feet as a woman and look right into someone's face, even if I'm being intimidated, and tell them I cannot review this or I cannot recommend this based on certain conditions and factors I found okay and found I don't find okay with. So they also had issues with the fact that they now said I can be a member, and someone else, and the man who set up that committee was like, no, he wanted the woman to handle that position, and he saw that I could do that and gave it to me to do. So at first, I will not lie to you, when those oppositions were coming up on the floor of the house, it didn't sit well with me emotionally. I felt bad because I'm a human being, I must say. I felt bad, but I didn't allow that to show up on my face. I put up a smiling face that day, and that was what baffled people. I smiled about it. I did not say any word. He said, I'm too soft, because one of the things he mentioned that day is that I'm very soft. And I didn't know where he was coming from with the softness, because I won't be wicked either. So I didn't know what he meant by softness. And people were like, the chairman was like, you don't know who you're talking about. There's difference between one being soft and there's difference between one refusing to be intimidated. They are two different things.
Yeah.
And I'm soft is, yes, I have a heart, but not allowing to be subjected and oppressed is a different matter. It has nothing to do with softness. So I had to put up a tough skin. I smiled. I took it in. And like I said, built my shock absorber and absorbed the shock, dust my body, and proved to them that I can handle that position.
Exactly.
So recently there was something that happened.
Okay.
We put up a proposal for a welfare package to be given to members. And so I and my committee sat, we drafted it and then looked at it, and it was okay. And we submitted it for approval. The House approved it, that we should go ahead. And then we began the process. And then a certain person felt that he approached me and wanted that we, engage him in that activity to bring the supplies. And we heard him, and we're still seeking other places, and we're still deliberating as committee. We hadn't make a grant or a certain vendor to handle that. And then a check was raised for me, certain to handle this thing. And all of a sudden, because he was an executive, the person I'm talking was an executive, and he felt he could hijack it because he was asked to raise a check. He raised the check and then raised it in his business name. And I came up and was like, no, it didn't pass through the committee.
Of course.
Okay, if you wanted us to give you, because the letter was written, right, send it into my account. If you had asked for a vendor's account, we would have given you a vendor's account.
Yeah.
You didn't ask for a vendor's account, you just put it in your business name.
Yeah.
And now I objected to it. I raised an objection. I said, no, it cannot happen. This is not the right thing, because tomorrow if an audit committee be set up, certain questions will be asked. Why did you raise objections? These are the areas now you are expected to man up. I stood my ground and said, this is wrong.
Yeah.
We sat and handled this. The committee was set up for this purpose. And these are part of the work reference of the committee.
Yeah.
So if there was anything he needed, he should have come right at us, met with us, and then discuss modalities. And if we're okay with them, we'll say, okay. But you don't just because you're an executive, you feel that you have access to the check, you can do it as you like. It doesn't show strength even on his own side.
Yeah.
I saw it as a letdown and a neglect. Okay. And now that raised a lot of dust, a lot of issues and talks and so many things. I wasn't shaken by it. I got calls that was oppressive, that looked like intimidating. In fact, it was intimidating.
Of course.
Telling me I should do this. I am supposed to go and meet this one. I'm supposed to allow he's an executive. That is, an executive does not give him the right to jump the
That's
office
a breach
of
of
the
work.
committee.
Exactly.
Yes. This is my office.
Of course.
If you have something that you want me to engage you, fine, you approach the committee.
Yeah.
And if we deem fit, we'll spell out our modalities. And if you're okay with it, you oblige us. But you don't jump our office and breach our territory and boundaries and you want me to succumb. No. I told them to their face, I don't know what they're saying. And I refuse to listen to what they're saying. So,
Just let me just come in a little bit. Do you sort of think, or did it even occur to you that if a man held the position that you hold right now, that particular executive would not have done what he did?
Did
that sort of occur to you?
It did not even. It occurred to me in a way, but then another thing came that because he felt I was his junior in the profession.
Oh, okay.
So he had the right to do as he liked.
Okay.
So even if it were a man that was also his junior, maybe he could have as well done this. That was another thing that balanced the thought.
Okay.
So it's because I'm a woman too, he's junior. And so he felt that because he's a senior, I could, give him. I didn't look at his face. I told it to him. Even if it were my boss, whom I served, who is one of the most senior elder statesmen in the profession, I would still tell him, sir, politely. The thing is this, always maintain decorum in addressing any objection as a woman. Because they will always see it as rude. Try as much as you can as a woman to maintain a sense of decorum. I did. I was not insolent to any of them, but when I began to exert my powers as a chairman, they saw it that I was rude and I was proud. They saw it as that I was beginning to overdo myself.
Yeah.
I'm outdoing myself. But I wasn't really outdoing myself because I knew I was doing the right thing. And I was standing on the right course. And that some persons who had some objections with it, with stories that had gone around, gossips and all that, because the gossips were coming in daily. In fact, I had enough Gary to drink for the day. Because gossip is like Gary for me. So I was drinking a lot. I drank so much. And when they were coming and some who had the audacity to ask what happened, I fed them with the correct information and they were like, you're doing the right thing. Go ahead. Good job. So one thing a woman must know is that try and build shock absorber in all this things. Get to a point in your life that you have stability all round. Financially, emotionally, mentally, family-wise, everything. Be stable. Be stable. And learn at all times when to absorb shocks because they will come intentionally. Some are just to test you. Most are to try what you can do. And they are all looking for loopholes where you will leak to them and they will leverage on.
Of course.
But if you don't give them what they are looking for, they will still be the ones to come to shake you in the future and tell you did a good job. But if you crack, they will ride on you.
Okay, amazing. Thank you so much for that. Quickly, let's talk about, there were some certain emotions that you already, spelt out. There is also a notion that some certain people believe with women in leadership. Obviously, it might just be a collection of stereotypes and all of that, but most men usually run with it. Not even just men, women as well. And we have situations where women are not even open to having their fellow women in leadership. They would prefer the man be the leader because it makes more sense to them. And one of the reasons that they have raised as to why they want that is because they feel like women are extremely emotional. And even though we've talked about balance emotionally, I would need for you to walk us through how women can keep their emotions in check. Because you said something right now. If your boss did the same thing, rather than, speak to him in an insolent manner, you would speak to him, maintain decorum, speak to him in a way that he would understand that I'm not asking you for this because, I am upset that you're taking my right as a woman.
Yeah.
No, but then you can position your words properly
and still make sense. Yes.
Exactly. So I want you to walk us through, because I think you're in the best position to actually, walk us through this path. I want you to walk us through ways for women to, I'm not saying take away the emotions. I'm saying streamline your emotions in a way that it does not look as though your emotions are all over the place, right? Because you're dealing with maybe some form of, maybe trouble from the house front, you have your kids calling you, and it can be a little bit overwhelming, honestly.
Oh, yes.
But how can you maintain that decorum that you just spoke about emotionally?
Yeah, like I said, you must understand your positions in all these things that you are doing. In the home, you're a mother, or if you're not married, maybe someone else's child whose parents will always call at any time. And then also, if you're married, you're a mother, you're a wife. And then in church, you must also be taking a leadership position in one way or the other, whether in the women team or in the general workforce. And also in your career, you're in the office, you're a boss, you're expected to still be the good boss to your employees. And then you're in the association, you are one thing or the other. So if you just have a good understanding of your job, you now create a structure, create good structures with good timings to all this, and then delegate certain works that are not necessary. Build stability. I keep saying that word, stability, inside of you. When you have a good understanding of your work as a woman in the home, that there are jobs that you will not necessarily need to do, because once the man, it's not everything I must do in the home in order to explain or show that I'm a wife. Definitely, you are the one to cook his meal and handle the kids. There are still certain areas someone else can, alternate for you while you pay her. Delegate works to people. In the office, you are the boss. It's not everything you're supposed to do. You have staffs who are paid for certain jobs to do. In the committee where I'm serving as a chairman, like I said, I like to do things myself. I was always, hurrying up. I would do this. It was wearing me out. And they were like, it's like, because I'm used to it. But I had to sit back, think on them, and began to delegate jobs to them. You're in this, you're in this, you're in this. And then in the association, my eyes are still on all. No matter what it is that I have delegated anyone to, my eyes were on all of them. And it enabled me to move and lead and act and do whatever I needed to do with ease. One thing you must understand is that as a woman, is always seek for excellence. The result, what are you getting? Not the energy you're putting. Try more to spend time on your excellence, the work result. Those what you have given what to do, should do it well, and then reserve your energy. Choose yourself first in all these things. Above all of them, choose yourself first. Always structure a time in every day of your activities where you have time for yourself, that you can go out for gym, maybe within 6 a.m. to 6:30, I've had a road walk. That time gives you a time for refreshing. You think on maybe another 30 minutes to meditate. That's when you relax. You don't answer calls. You don't attend to any activity, whether child, wife, husband, nothing. You are just reserved to yourself, soaking in, and then taking off the bad energy, relaxing, resting, and then developing more ideas in those times when how to do things. it's at that point you will get relaxed, your nerves are relaxed, you now get to, handle certain activities. But when you don't have time for yourself, if you don't prioritize yourself above all these things, you will get burnout. You will no longer, you will see them as, you will prioritize them above you. You may faint. And the one that faints is the one that they will talk about that, why is it that she's the one doing all this things? Can't she call somebody?
They'll say you too do.
She'd always, every time she's doing, she's here, she's this side, she's, and one person won't die. You don't say he will die. That's the word they will use. But these were the people who were applauding you before. So get to set these things. And when you set them, it won't be an issue.
Amazing. So there is one thing you need to understand. The fact that you cannot give from an empty cup. You have to be filled inside as a person, but for you to be able to pour out. And as a woman, it is expected for you to pour out, especially if you want some certain things. You want children, you want family. You should be able to refill properly before you can be able to pour out.
And also, energy is not strength.
Word.
Energy is not strength. Strength is inside. That's what you build, not the energy. The energy is the vehicle that carries the strength.
Oh, okay.
So when you allow it to fail, you cannot exert that strength out.
Okay. Did you hear that? Energy is not strength. So know this and know peace. All of you that used to answer strong woman, delegate time for things. Make sure you delegate to people who can also help you take care of some certain things. Women can attain leadership, but it matters the things that you're willing and you're able to put in some certain space so that it does not, becloud the other. That way you can be able to do fantastically well and fly on the speed level that you ought to fly. Thank you so much, Surveyor Chika, for this conversation. I will need you to give us your final word before we call it a wrap.
Okay. My word and advice to the woman out there who is in a career leading certain position is that get to understand what you are doing in all these things and do not allow anyone to suffer for the other. Then whatever it is that you're going through, whether from the association, the organization you are leading, your career, your office, your family, learn to build strength and stability inside that will be a shock absorber when certain emotional attacks begins to come, whether from the family or from anywhere, because it can come from all these places. But always know when to absorb them, show your shoulders off, and move ahead. Do not let them bring you down, but rather spoil you and be a step to go higher.
Amazing. Thank you so much, Surveyor Chika. This, as I promised, was a packed session, and I'm just so glad that we had this session. Thank you so much for watching. Make sure you go subscribe to our YouTube channel. Make sure you share this particular video. Don't forget to share it to your family, friends, and your loved ones. And remember to follow us on our social media platforms. My name is Faith Martins. Until next time, bye-bye.